We need to get together and let our voices be heard.
This is Buffalo What's Next. I'm Jay Moran.
I'm Bridget Jaipal Valenza.
I'm Dave Debo.
And I'm Thomas O'Neill White.
After May 14th, how can we afford not to talk about race?
About education, about segregation, about humanity.
Since the dawn of this nation, racial violence has existed.
The way we have designed our society has a big hand in what occurred in that Tops Market.
The suburban area, everywhere, we must work and teach our children.
We need to make sure that we put more funding in our programs that help prevent gun violence and more money into art.
If we're going to have some real healing, we've got to have space to tell some uncomfortable truth.
This is Buffalo What's Next. I'm host Thomas O'Neill White, and with me today to talk about the city of Buffalo's blizzard response and her involvement in helping residents is retired Buffalo police officer Cariol Horne. Cariol, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me back.
Was this holiday blizzard a Hurricane Katrina moment for the city? Why or why not?
It certainly was. Just like someone said, it was a snurricane.
A snurricane, yes. 35 deaths in the city of Buffalo, over 46 in Erie County. And Cariol, you were arrested during rescue efforts. Can you tell us what happened?
I actually was out during the this is after the blizzard. The first day that the blizzard stopped, my 97-year-old father was without heat and electricity, and I was not able to get to him until Christmas Day, when the blowing snow and everything stopped. So that morning, I wound up getting over to him with the help of Miles Carter and David Lewis, and of course, the effort with neighbors, helping or whatever. But
right.
Either way it goes, I was out all day helping people, giving rides, shoveling, snow blowing. And that night, I was actually on my way to my son's house to get a plate to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going in the house for a few hours and then coming back out to see if, anybody was out that needed help or whatever. Either way it goes, I was riding down Bailey Street and I noticed that the police had a car pulled over. It had a trunk full of stuff, so my assumption was that the person was out looting.
Right.
So I saw the people on the ground, and I guess I was triggered because, a body had been in the snow and ice for 2 days, and the police did not respond.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually was going to just get out and record and basically being an advocate and activist, I was basically going to speak on it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find my phone. So at that time, I didn't know that the person I had just dropped off had stole my phone. But I couldn't find the phone, and I just decided I would get out and just observe.
Mm-hmm.
And the cop, he came and asked, can he help me? And I said, yeah, I understand that these people were probably stealing, but you need to get them off the ground. And he just pointed in my face and said, you're going to be on the ground if you don't stop impeding my investigation. I basically said, I didn't impede his investigation and that, he needed to get the people off the ground. And then he pushed me, and then I pushed him back, and then he body slammed me and told me I was under arrest for putting my hands on him. And I said, I did, but after you put your hands on me.
Do you think the officer recognized you and that maybe flipped the switch in the officer? Because, let's be real. You're probably persona non grata within the Buffalo Police Department.
Well, he was nice at first, and he quickly turned cold, just like that ice and snow. He was just that cold. So I'm not sure if he did, but in the arrest paperwork, I didn't give him my ID,
mm-hmm.
and so they put my name wrong as Carol instead of Cariol, but at the same time, they still gave me an appearance ticket without ID.
And what were you charged with?
Obstruction, disorderly, and harassment. The same things he should be charged with. If I should be charged with it, he should be charged with it, as well as Cariol's law should be charged.
Exactly, and that's what you are known for, and you're known for saving the life of Neil Mack Jr. And through all the trials and tribulations that you've been through, do you still feel that you are a target of the Buffalo Police Department?
Oh, I know I've been a target. I know that my family has been a target. It's just, I mean, like, who do you go to when you have a problem with the police, right?
Yeah. This is Buffalo What's Next. Thomas O'Neill White here talking blizzard response with retired Buffalo police officer Cariol Horne. You did an interview with Democracy Now!, yourself and India Walton, about the blizzard, and you talked about senior housing units, and that's where your father was?
Yeah, he was not at LBJ, but he was at a different one, but that just shows the issues that we have with the senior housing that have no backup generators.
Yeah, can you get a little bit more into that? I mean, apparently from what I read in Democracy Now!, the buildings are ill prepared to handle the storm. What went wrong there? What did you see?
No backup generators, number one. You have seniors that, in the LBJ, there was pipes that burst. There was water running down the elevator. So, like, you had to take the stairs, and I don't know if it's only
That's tough on seniors.
Yeah, I don't know if it's only 10 flights of stairs, but I do know that, there is a 10th floor, so I'm not sure if there's anything above that. But when I went to the 6th floor, I was tired.
Yeah.
So just to, and then I was walking with a guy, and we had to stop, like, the 3rd floor so he can get his breath, but he was there with his mom. And he was telling me about, because I said, what's that smell? He said he worked in a hospital and that it was the smell of death.
Ooh. Did you go there with Miles Carter? He's a housing inspector as well.
Yes.
Right? What was his thoughts on the problems within the building?
The conditions were deplorable. They were basically literally left to die.
And this is a BMHA housing?
Yes.
Have they said anything on the matter? Have they reached out to you?
No, they haven't reached out to me because I haven't reached out to them. Miles was dealing with them, so of course he would have to speak on that.
Yeah, we'll have him on again.
So as far as I know that the fire department did go there, and that BMHA was involved after the fact. So I'm not exactly sure what improvements they have made right now.
What improvements would you like to see?
Well, first of all, we need backup generators, number one.
Right.
And then I understand that it was a storm, so I don't expect everybody to be miracle workers, but I expect that a building full of our seniors, especially BMHA, and not only BMHA, any of the senior buildings, they should be equipped to handle a situation like this.
I mean, what's a city if they can't take care of their most vulnerable?
Exactly.
Right? From your point of view as a retired police officer, why was the city, why was Mayor Byron Brown so gung ho on catching looters? What's the methodology behind warning looters of repercussions while emergency services are slowed down to a halt?
I think that it was basically to take our focus off of what the city, county, and state government did not do, which was to protect its citizens. It's I understand how dangerous it was out there because I tried to get to my father and I couldn't without help. So I do understand that, but I also understand that the effort that I did put into getting to my father without any help. So just to think of, you have a team of people who supposedly is equipped, because he did say that we were ready for the storm, even though the November storm, I saw plow trucks plowed in. Who were plowing plow trucks other than another plow truck, right? So how did those plow trucks get plowed in when we needed them? And if they were broken down, they should have been somewhere where they were being fixed.
Yeah, if anything, it seems like the November storm was kind of a test run
exactly
for this holiday storm, and it just seems like nothing was learned in between. I could be wrong because I'm not obviously on the ground.
All, it shouldn't have taken that storm for us to learn anything, because we get snow every year. Every year around this time we get snow. So it should not have been a test run in November. We had many test runs. We should have been equipped.
And I wanted to circle back real quick, just the warning of looters and this police presence on the streets. Do you think that was necessary? Do you think it was warranted? I mean, yes, people are going to, in situations like this, they're going to, try to do things, try to get out for themselves and try to make, steal TVs and stuff like that. But there's people out there who are trying to get essentials. So do you think that it was necessary to have like this police presence trying to catch every single looter and coming down hard on them and warning them via press conferences?
Well, first of all, no, everybody's not watching the press conference. Maybe the people who stole the TVs could now watch press conferences. But to have a looter task force, as opposed to having a task force to go and go down that call log, the 911 call log, it was crazy to me. It's like you have people who are literally dying in their homes on the street, but you decide that the looters is the most important subject for you to deal with. I don't think that was right. I don't think looting it wasn't right, but in certain situations it wasn't wrong.
When you're trying to get essentials, I think we can all agree.
Yeah, like the grocery store decided that, well, at one point, Aldi's decided that they were not going to open.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like then people would say, well, look what you did to your own neighborhood. But isn't a grocery store essential? So why was you not open? This food would have started going bad anyway after so much time. So not that someone should have gone in there and took the food and trashed the place.
Yeah.
I don't agree with trashing the place at all.
Right.
But if people needed food, I can't tell. I wouldn't have said, no, don't go take the food. I would have, like in the situation with Jay, who broke into the school. He left a note, and he didn't trash the place, and the people that were in there didn't trash the place. So they were looked at as good looters, where, you may have had someone, if the Family Dollar, everyone that went into there did not trash the place. But
took what they needed and got out.
Right. But they're all looked at as bad looters. And it's like, what's the difference? Like, with the people who just went and took what they needed, as opposed to Jay, who's getting Super Bowl tickets,
Yeah.
And is it because Jay is Caucasian and the looters that they focused on are black? Well, actually, they were not all black, but they focused on the black people without saying that.
Right.
And there was looting all over. Like, even I heard that snowmobiles were taken. But we didn't. Did you hear about that?
Nope. We talked a lot about, or there was a lot of talk about a lack of warming centers. That's a big problem. What's your take on warming centers? Do we need one in every neighborhood?
Of course we do. There's a school in every neighborhood. There's a church in every neighborhood. So there's a community center in just about every neighborhood. So the point is, there's places that could have been set up. I used to volunteer for the Red Cross when I was in the South. It was much easier in the South to volunteer. Here, it's been like pulling teeth to volunteer. I called and got hung up on when I know how to set up the shelters. So only thing I would have needed was space and the necessary things that the Red Cross provides. And then I could have set up shelters. But they hung up on me when I called. 911, I called because I said, I have a plow truck. I have a snowblower. I have the sod. I had the shovels. I had everything that I needed. I just needed to get out because the drifts blew over and snowed in the plow truck. Where across the street there was like nothing.
Yeah.
So I could have parked across the street and just drove off.
Same thing in my neighborhood. I could see grass across the street while I had 5 feet of snow.
Exactly.
What else needs to change before the next big storm? I mean, we still have a long winter ahead of us. It's not even February yet. What else needs to change before the next big storm?
Well, we need equipment that works. Just like you have police districts, the plow trucks could have been in each district.
Just a few in each district?
Yep, and basically going up and down the main streets. I don't expect anyone to, go out to die, but, it's like if there were, warming centers or whatever, even if they plowed a little bit and stopped at the warming center or whatever, I don't know. But I'm just thinking that it didn't have to get as bad as it did.
We've got a minute before we take a short break. And we can finish this at the other end of the break, but do we need, as Denise Barr mentioned a few weeks ago, do we need neighborhood hubs where people can go ahead of a storm, ahead of a weather event, so they can hunker down with a roof over their heads, with the essentials? What do you think of that idea?
Of course. There's evacuation centers when there's a hurricane. So we need one during a hurricane, right?
Absolutely. You're listening to Buffalo What's Next. Thomas O'Neill White here talking storm response with retired police officer Cariol Horne. We're going to take a short break and we'll be with you on the rebound.
Hey, have you seen WNED PBS's Compact Science or Shakespeare's Greatest Hits? Here's 5 reasons to check them out. Compact Science is so fun, high energy, and educational that it won 3 prestigious awards: a Communicator Award, a Telly, and an award from the New York State Broadcasters Association. And Shakespeare's Greatest Hits also received a Communicator Award and a Telly for cinematically portraying some of Shakespeare's best monologues in bite-sized videos. Check them out at WNED.org or on YouTube.
Toronto's Mirvish theater empire has its roots in the opening of a retail store, Honest Ed's, in 1948. Explore the beginnings and exponential growth of Mirvish theaters in WNED PBS's original production, Toronto's First Family of Theater. Watch it now on YouTube.
This is Buffalo What's Next, where we have conversations with the community about moving forward. To have your voice heard, press the Talk to Us button on the WBFO app, and we'll work to get your questions and comments on the air. Join us on Twitter at WBFO or email us at news@wbfo.org. Together, we'll have the conversations that are needed. This is WBFO, your NPR station.
And I'm Thomas O'Neill White, back with you. I am talking blizzard response with retired Buffalo police officer Cariol Horne. Just getting back to that last point, Denise Barr. Denise, wherever you are, hope you're listening. We love you. She mentioned in a Anchor Zoom call that we need hubs. We need hubs in every neighborhood where people can go ahead of weather events or during weather events if they're able to, if they lose power in their home, walk to these places and have a shelter over their head, have a roof over their head, and have essentials and just, survive these weather events, because it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better right now. What do you think of that idea? Would you do anything differently?
I would set it up like a Red Cross Center does when there's a disaster such as hurricanes. It's like a safe spot. There will be backup generators. There will be food. There will be heat, electricity, clothing, everything that you need to basically survive on a short-term basis. And then there should be programs in place where if, there's something coming. Actually, it should be done even like now when there's nothing going on.
Yeah, we should be working on that right now.
Right. So we should have a list of places you can call, a list of services, a list of places you can go. Can you tell me where the evacuation route goes?
Me, right now?
Right now.
No.
Neither can I. I cannot tell you where it goes.
It goes from my bedroom to my couch in my living room.
No, I mean the city evacuation route.
I don't know. So how would you assess, because you were out there, you were out on those streets, how do you assess the response from residents to the storm in this city of good neighbors?
The residents, on the most part, they were helping each other. Even the looters, they were not breaking into their neighbor's house. They were going to the stores and taking what they felt like they needed or wanted. And they basically, as far as I saw, people were out helping shovel, helping snowblow, checking on their neighbors. You actually had a great response from the neighbors because you understood that no other help was coming.
How does that, when you say that, no other help was coming, when that sets in, how does that make you feel?
Well, for me, I'm fine with it because I never felt like I had help coming.
Wow.
So that's why I had generators and the other equipment that I had. It's just I wasn't able to access it, which is also important because you have to be able to use the equipment that you have. So I think in the future, for me, I would just basically have a backup team to basically help me to be able to help other people, which is what I was looking for when I called 911.
Right.
Like, I just need help getting out of here, then I can go and help not only my father, but the whole building of seniors.
I would be remiss not to ask, but how is your father doing?
He's fine.
He's fine?
He'll be 98 next month.
Wow. Wow. Good for him.
Yeah, he told me he almost froze to death, though.
That's scary.
And for him to be a World War II vet, you went through World War II, and you lived 97 years, and I don't know how I would have taken it had he did freeze to death. But because of his age and experience, he understood how not to die.
Survival skills.
Yep.
I want to pivot away from the blizzard real quick just because Darius Pridgeon announced that he would not be running for his Common Council seat next election. You live in Pridgeon's district, Ellicott. What do you make of Pridgeon's announcement, and talk a little bit about what he's done as a Common Council member in your district?
Well, it was bittersweet for me to hear that last night, because I think that in any public office that it can wear on you. You could get burnt out. So I think that in that way that, you know, he's done things, good things, especially helping pass Cariol's law, that I will always appreciate. And yeah, I do live in his district now.
How long have you lived in the district?
Since October.
Since October. I mean, what do you? I guess since it's only been October, you haven't seen the growth through the years. But when you talk to your neighbors, when you talk to other residents in the district, how do they feel about the district?
They were actually telling me about, you know, how the street is a good street, and how it's quiet, and they all seem to be pleased, the neighbors that I've talked to. So hopefully we can keep it that way in a district that is pleasing to the neighbors.
Exactly, and who might step into that role as common council member for the Ellicott district?
We shall see, right?
We shall see. I mean, wait a minute. Wait, what does that mean?
That means that we shall see. Hopefully we can get someone in there who cares about the people.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna mark that down. Pridgeon successor. Who could that be? Okay. All right.
Let's see.
And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I know I asked you last time and I couldn't even remember your response, and I know you don't remember your response, so it might be completely different now in the few months that it's been since you last came on Buffalo What's Next. What does Buffalo need? Has it changed at all? Or is there any pressing needs from when you came on in October to now?
Buffalo needs city government that cares about the citizens.
Can you break that down?
In how many different ways do you want it chopped up?
Two or three if you can.
Okay, we definitely need our city government who takes our taxes and puts it into, or supposedly puts it into services that will help us run efficiently. We need those services available. And, you know, during this blizzard, we saw what responses we need there. We need so many different things. We need to have everything that is available to one culture should be available to all cultures. And that's just to put it broadly. But even recently we met with the people from the Bangladesh community, and they have a community center that they want all people to be able to use, which is great.
What neighborhood is this? Is this the Schiller Park neighborhood?
The Bangladesh, wherever they reside, but it's off of Genesee where the
yes,
where the
Jami Masjid
community center is. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So they want to make that available to everyone, which is, like I said, is great. And then during the conversation, you know, the one guy is sitting next to me, basically says that Black people don't work together. And in some cases, he's absolutely correct. But he basically sat there next to me telling me that basically
telling you your own business?
No, not my own business. What he thought was he basically was stereotyping. And he basically was saying, like, we don't own anything and because of whatever reason. And I'm saying, well, that's not everyone. And then after that, I see an article that basically says that they are going to not be fined for housing violations. Now, hopefully I read it wrong, but I don't think that is right. You cannot get away with housing violations because you're doing good on the left-hand side. You have to do good on the right-hand side, too. You can't get away with housing violations. I can't get away with housing violations, so how could that be true?
I wanted to ask you this question because you work a lot with Miles Carter and David Lewis. Shout out to those guys. Is there a disconnect between the black establishment in this city and these new black activists like a Miles Carter, like a David Lewis?
Yeah, so like the mayor has his own set of activists that he uses when he goes on TV. He doesn't use the Cariol Hornes or the Miles Carter or the David Lewis's. So he uses who he deems safe, or using organization that he deems is safe. That's why I just go by my own name, Cariol Horne, because when you hear from Cariol Horne, it's coming from Cariol Horne, not from an organization of who is who has the 501c3 name behind them. So I'm not trying to diss anybody, but I'm just trying to keep it real.
Yes,
we have to be able to work together. But
what's that going to take?
Yeah. And so that was the meeting that we were at, Bridging the Gap.
Okay. Oh,
so,
yeah.
So what it's going to take them to stop being so closed-minded or want to keep everything to themselves. It's like you have to listen. Like, we are here on the ground. We know what's going on. So you have to, or you should include us. Like, you have, the mayor has activists who are on the ground. But they don't see everything the way we see it because they are basically being coddled. You know, they basically have they're in the graces of the mayor. I'm not in the graces of the mayor.
Right.
I don't care to be in the graces of the mayor. I just care to work so that it can all be fair. You know, everything we can live peacefully. We only have so many years to live. So what's the point of trying to downgrade one set of people and uplift other people? It's only causing divisiveness.
Correct. Well put. This is Buffalo What's Next. I'm Thomas O'Neill White, and I'm sitting here having another wonderful, wonderful conversation with retired Buffalo police officer Cariol Horne. Cariol, this has been a really lovely conversation again. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me again.
And you are listening to Buffalo What's Next on WBFO News.
WNED Classical has been conducting interviews of their own on YouTube with the classical music community. Have you ever wondered what goes into the performances you hear on WNED Classical? Head on over to our Buffalo Toronto Public Media YouTube page to see the collection of interviews that we've orchestrated. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
WNED PBS can go everywhere you go with the WNED PBS app. Go to the app to watch shows like Kleinhand's Gift to Buffalo, Frontline, and Compact Science. Even watch on the go with the WNED PBS live stream and a 24/7 stream of WNED PBS Kids. You can also see the full television schedule and what's on right now from the app. Download the WNED PBS app wherever you get your apps.
Toronto's Mirvish theater empire has its roots in the opening of a retail store, Honest Ed's, in 1948. Explore the beginnings and exponential growth of Mirvish Theaters in WNED PBS's original production, Toronto's First Family of Theater. Watch it now on YouTube.
Hey, have you seen WNED PBS's Compact Science or Shakespeare's Greatest Hits? Here's 5 reasons to check them out. Compact Science is so fun, high energy, and educational that it won 3 prestigious awards: a Communicator Award, a Telly, and an award from the New York State Broadcasters Association. And Shakespeare's Greatest Hits also received a Communicator Award and a Telly for cinematically portraying some of Shakespeare's best monologues in bite-sized videos. Check them out at WNED.org or on YouTube.
This is Buffalo What's Next, where we have conversations with the community about moving forward. To have your voice heard, press the Talk to Us button on the WBFO app, and we'll work to get your questions and comments on the air. Join us on Twitter at WBFO or email us at news@WBFO.org. Together, we'll have the conversations that are needed. This is WBFO, your NPR station.
And good morning, this is Dave Debo. On the program today, what realtors found when one realtor is white and another is black at an open house. I think most people of color probably have that story. It starts out saying, I was in a store, customer service was hovering, shopping while black. It turns out that there is something similar that's been going on at open houses where people sell homes. And the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors is not only aware of it, watching it, but put out a really cool video series about it. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Rosalind Burgin is here. She's president of the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors, just sworn in this past Friday. She's the organization's first female person of color as president. She is the B in the MMB Realty Group. And we're going to talk a little bit about real estate and discrimination, and specifically what was found at this open house. Rosalind, thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
I started out with that tale of shopping while black, but I think the Board of Realtors has found something similar. Take me through the scenario. What happened, and how is it different from maybe the store scenario?
So the agent was going to do a preview of the house for his client. I guess his client was going to attend the open house. He couldn't go with her, so he went ahead. And as he walked through the house, he realized that every time he kind of turned around, the hosting agent was there. So he, after a few minutes, he felt like he was being followed through the house. And they had a conversation. Of course, the agent said, "No, I'm not following you. Pretty much, I'm just, I'm
just watching everything you do."
No, I just want to be here in case you have questions. So,
and I suppose it makes sense to think that sort of thing happens because we've all heard the story of racial discrimination. If a realtor was going to do that in particular against a buyer, why wouldn't that realtor do it against another realtor? It makes, I'm not saying it's right, obviously, but it makes sense.
And this was actually the first scenario of blatant, I'm following you, or I've never been followed in an open house, and I don't know.
And you've been in the business how long?
16 years.
Okay, all right.
So don't know how common that would be because, again, a realtor's hosting an open house to build their business and sell the house, not
all right.
And to
educate on this topic and to combat this, you created a reenactment, a documentary almost, a video series that shows what this particular realtor went through. We have a clip from that.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Mind signing in for me?
Oh, here, I'm an agent.
Oh, do you mind still signing in?
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Are you following me?
No, I just want to make sure you don't see your way around.
Okay, I'm an agent though, right?
Yeah, totally fine. Just want to make sure I'm here if you have any questions.
I've seen a lot of houses. I know my way around, so...
Totally fine.
Are you not supposed to be still waiting for others to come in?
No, it's okay. I'll get back to them.
Okay, I just thought it was an open house. Okay, all right, thanks.
And the person in that reenactment is Craven Weeks. He's a local realtor. It actually happened to him. And after you created that one video series, he sat down with your vice president, Brenda Alesi.
I walked up to the property and
Actually, before I walked up to the property, I was watching individuals walk into the property from the garage entrance of this raised ranch and seeing how he interacted with them. So when I walked up, I expected the same type of response from him. At first, I was pointed out the different rooms in the lower level, which is, normal. But then when he followed me to one of those rooms to explain some things, I kind of was like, okay, I got it, because I've experienced looking at homes all the time. And then when I proceeded to go upstairs, he was following behind me, and I found that kind of strange because he was posted up in the garage with a sign-in sheet expecting other open house people to come in. So it started to get a little strange from there.
I imagine it did. You say you've never seen something like this before? This blatant?
That blatant.
Okay.
Yes.
But it happens.
It happens.
Before we went on the air, you were sharing a story about one of your instances where a neighbor came up and said, "Ooh, person of color in my neighborhood, what's going on here?"
Right. So, and that's what we usually see is someone from the neighborhood. Someone may call the police.
Really? Not just, hello, what are you doing here, but actually call the police?
We assume that the police, and they could just be patrolling the area, but
when they show up,
they stop and
wow.
say, "What are you doing here?" Or it's that's probably more common than
realtor on realtor.
The realtor on realtor, yes.
Excuse my naivete. How often does it happen?
I would say that if you spoke to any realtor of color, and that's not just Black, but Asian, any Black, brown realtor, they will tell you that they've experienced something of a nature, what they felt was discrimination.
Right. And you mentioned again before we went on the air that the pool of realtors in Greater Buffalo is really becoming very diverse.
Very diverse, extremely, yes.
Does that help sell certain neighborhoods?
I think it helps. We talk about diversity and inclusion all the time. So having that diverse pool of realtors helps to sell properties. I think it helps to sell, period. I've had Asian clients that I've had to reach out to one of my another agent realtor to get assistance, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We have a language barrier, a communication barrier, so it would help to have trust another agent.
Cultural literacy.
Yes,
a connection, right?
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
To what degree has the real estate industry really now started to embrace DEI?
I'd say over the last 2 years. We started a DEI committee, and I think we were one of the first associations to create actually a dedicated DEI committee, which Brenda is actually our director of DEI.
So this particular video series springs out of that, not just the idea that you're the new president and of color.
No, I think it's all kind of the same timing, but the DEI committee, as we talked about what should we do, what can we do to just start the conversation, I do believe there's some people don't even realize because it's been such a systemic thing that it's how they live. It's how they see people of color, that's how they were raised, and they don't really, it's not racist because most people won't say, I'm a racist.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, you ask them, and of course they're not.
Of course
I have
not.
Black friends.
Yeah, and
right.
I did make a phone call about the open house situation, and of course, the broker said, "Oh no, he would have never." Yeah, that wasn't why he did it, because he was on medication. He was walking the house because he was on medication. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The realtor in question, not Craven Weeks.
Yeah, the realtor in question.
Wow.
health challenges.
This video series came out maybe 2 weeks ago. What's the response been?
We've had some people that have felt like, oh, that really happens. It's the racism that we experience is shared among ourselves usually. It's not, the DEI committee kind of helped to bring it out to light and to start that conversation. And there were, we have a very diverse group of committee members, and there were some committee members very surprised that, wow, that happened.
To some, however, used to the daily microaggression, it was probably not a surprise.
I couldn't say, but
okay.
I'm sure.
Were you shocked?
Pardon?
Were you shocked?
I was shocked about the open house one, yeah. That was odd. I could see, the neighborhood, I don't want you in my neighborhood type thing that happens. That's going to continue to happen probably, but...
This idea of it being realtor on realtor, that to you made a difference. Okay. When we return from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about neighborhood selling, east side of Buffalo, racism that realtors encounter. Rosalind Burgin is here. She's with MMB. She's the B. Burgin, MMB Realty Group, but she's also the president, recently sworn in, of the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors. More conversation after this. This is Buffalo What's Next on WBFO.
This is Buffalo What's Next, where we have conversations with the community about moving forward. To have your voice heard, press the Talk to Us button on the WBFO app, and we'll work to get your questions and comments on the air. Join us on Twitter @WBFO or email us at news@WBFO.org. Together, we'll have the conversations that are needed. This is WBFO, your NPR station.
And this is Dave Debo. Rosalind Burgin is with us. She's the newly sworn-in president of the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors, and it's kind of a historic event. She is the first woman of color to hold that position, recently sworn in this past Friday. Before the break, we were talking about this video series that the association has put out on realtor discrimination. That, you said before the break, was shocking. The other side of the coin, very much less so.
Yes.
Do you find racism has reached the point where it's hard to sell certain neighborhoods? Not just people coming up to you and hello, what are you doing here? But no, I'd never lived there because of X, Y, or Z.
No, I mean, people have preferences. People, clients of color, they have preferences to where they want to live. I live in the University District, and my daughters would say, Mom, you can't live on that street. I'm like, yeah, okay, I won't live on the street. I'm going to live in my house. So, so that's pretty common. I don't think the racism affects where people buy or how they buy. It does affect, well, do I want you in my neighborhood? But the east side of Buffalo is becoming pretty diverse.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yes.
What kind of resurgence have you seen over what period of time? So, if it's fair to call it resurgence, you tell me.
It's been maybe the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years. We're starting to see a change in the makeup. More homeowners, actually, more people buying in the east side.
Because of the neglect for so long, I imagine the disinvestment makes for bargains.
Yes. And I mean, Buffalo, we're Western New York. We were ranked the 5th best place to purchase for first-time home buyers because our purchase prices are pretty low compared to other cities in the country. So,
what causes, and this is a broad question, forgive me for saving it toward the back end of the program when we probably don't have time to truly delve into it. What causes segregation?
Well, I don't know. I moved here in 1995 from Syracuse, and I didn't pay that much attention, maybe a growing up as a kid, I knew our family was the first black family to move into our neighborhood. But moving here to Buffalo as an adult, I realized that, it was the separation of the neighborhoods, whether it was on South Buffalo, East, West, you could tell it was based on.
They are very strongly defined.
Yes.
More so than other places.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
What would it take to change that?
Well, I think it's changing now.
Really? Okay.
I honestly believe it's changing now. 15 years I've sold all over Buffalo. I've had clients, African American clients who insisted they were going to live in South Buffalo. So it's kind of all over. It's starting.
Talk about the housing stock. Talk about all the vacant land that we hear is on the east side. How do we transcend those two issues?
So I know that we've partnered with the City of Buffalo, Land Bank, and Evans Bank, and a developer to actually start a project of building 7 new homes on the lots in the City of Buffalo. So I think once that project's successful, we'll start seeing other people look and say, wow, we could do that. The city has quite a few lots.
Part of the narrative, I think, is that, it's hard to get the vacant lot. It just sits there vacant. Talk about the process.
So this program, the city transferred the lots to Land Bank. So I think it was a collaboration. But I talk to clients all the time. If you're interested in a city lot, we just have to do a little bit of research. There's certain criteria you have to meet. You have to give the city a plan, which would make sense. You don't want someone buying a lot and then just leaving it vacant, doesn't do anything with it if it's not associated with their current home. So it is a process, but it is doable.
Talk about homeowner classes, first-time homeowner classes, financial literacy.
So MMB, we do seminars. Actually, we have one coming up February 18th. I think that's a Saturday. So home buying seminars are going on in different areas. And there's a lot of information out there for first-time home buyers. I suggest that you attach yourself with a realtor at least to find out where to start. What should I do? Because it's easier than, it's a process, but it's definitely with the right guidance. There's no such thing. If you work every day, you pay rent, you can be a homeowner.
And I've heard that some people even involve a mortgage broker at the start of the process.
Mm-hmm. It's always good to find out where you're at. Some people under the impression I can't even think about buying a home unless I have $20,000 saved in the bank. That's not true. So you've got to talk to some professional that can tell you where you're at in the process.
Is there a formula? That's interesting to me because I've been one of those people. I've said, we just don't have enough set aside to make this work. How large of a down payment is required? How low does it go?
So it depends if you're... I've had a client that closed and only had to bring $125 to closing.
No way. Wow.
So it really depends on the individual and if there are grants out there, if there are closing cost assistance out there. There's lots of programs that you just need to talk to a professional and not be afraid. I think that's that fear of I can't be a homeowner. If you work and you pay rent, and if your credit's not good, your credit can be fixed also. So it's just a process. It's no such thing as no, I can't own my home.
What neighborhoods are hot right now?
All of them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they're all hot. Yeah. Again, there's low inventory and inventory's somewhat low, but I think it's because we're seeing rent prices go up. So more people are thinking,
if I'm paying more for rent, maybe I can't afford that mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, again, in Western New York. Remember, we're the 5th best place, Buffalo, was ranked 5th.
What's the time on market looking like lately? Is it a seller's market or a buyer's market?
I think it's still a seller's market, but we have seen a shift where now you may see houses sit on the market a little longer than, say, 6 months ago.
What effect did COVID have?
I think COVID's the reason that we have the low inventory. That's when we started seeing the less people going to sell their house. But in real estate, it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of the change in interest rates. It was the low interest rates, put out, created a lot of buyers. Like I can get a mortgage and pay 3.5% in interest.
Okay.
So that, that was before the increase.
Yeah.
So.
My last question maybe ties back to the initial discussion of racism. You can answer it any way you would like. It's a very broad question. The latitude is yours. What does Buffalo need?
Communication, education. They call Buffalo the city of good neighbors. And truly, even with the Tops massacre, you could see how the community came together. And I see any protests. It's not years ago in the 60s or, protests. You've seen lots of, all the pictures you see of African Americans protesting. Now look at some of the protests and how they've shifted. And they're very diverse. You have a mixture of race and protests.
You said there needs to be communication. Define that a little more for me.
Just with each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, talking to each other. That's why part of our diversity, DEI, and the board was to generate communication amongst realtors, learn that there are cultural differences, but it's just you have to understand them and know what they are and be comfortable with it.
If you're communicating with a person and that person's in front of you and you know them, then theoretically they're a person.
Right.
And you're not going to put up those walls.
Right, exactly.
Rosalind, this has been fun. Yeah. Thanks so very much for being here.
No, thanks for having me.
Rosalind Burgin is the newly elected president of the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors. Again, a historic moment there because she is not only the first woman, but the first woman of color to hold that position. If someone wants more information on the association, is it bnar.org?
Yes.
All right, very good. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
This is Buffalo What's Next on WBFO and WBFO HD1 Buffalo, WOLN Olean, and WUBJ Jamestown. Thanks for being with us. I'm Dave Debo. Tomorrow on the program, it's Friday, we'll bring you our regular Producers Picks program, a chance to hear highlights of interviews from earlier in the series. And then, of course, on Monday, we'll be back with a whole new collection of guests for you right here on Buffalo What's Next.